Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Well, this weekend being Mother's Day and all, we are not going to go fixing our cars because, I mean, we do that all the other time mostly, except for when I'm being lazy and not doing it. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to make a Mother's Day dessert. So, come on in. I'll show you guys how to make this very cool homemade chocolate mousse, kind of. And, yeah, let's get to it. Wait, hold up. You're gonna be like, hey, today's Mother's Day. This video's late. And you'd be totally right. Because it's Sunday. And by the time you see this, it is probably too late for you to make this dish and freeze it properly and then give it to your mom and all that business. So, because I was working yesterday and feeling lazy and took a couple naps, that's the reason for the late video. Sorry guys, but I got you covered. Pro tip, just tell your mom that the chocolate mousse was social distancing and needed its isolation time, and then give it to her tomorrow. Got you covered, fam. Okay, so this ancient mousse recipe, full on disclosure, isn't something created fully by me. It's possibly just about the only thing I remember from French class from when I was in high school. And pretty well just about the only thing good that come out of that class. Full disclosure, I mean, you know, stay in school and learn French and all that. Aujourd'hui. But here's the ancient recipe from a piece of homework that I actually saved from that era. It's all written in my amazing grade 10 or 11, I don't remember, French. So we are going to gather up our ingredients, and don't worry, I'm going to translate it to you. I'm not going to suffer you guys listening to me speak in French, because as you can tell, perhaps I did not study the best and be the most studious of students when it came to French class, i.e. Not at all. But you know, let's get with it, and I'll take you along and see if I remember all the ingredients here and I can translate them, because I actually did put some cheat notes here, so you know. Parlez-vous en français? Aujourd'hui? Come with me. Okay, so I'm going to give you an ingredients list here, and if I'm feeling not lazy, we'll see how it is. I want to type it out in the video description as well, so you guys can make it for yourselves. What we're going to need, and oh, feel free to pause the video and take crib notes. Will help you out. Pro tip. We're going to need 400 grams of chocolate. So I use chocolate chips for this. And to be honest, I don't have a scale in my kitchen. And the bathroom scale only measures plus size people. So it's not really that accurate for little small measurements like that. So I figured using science. 1 milliliter of water is equal to 1 gram of water. So using vice versa logic, 400 milliliters of chocolate is like 400 milliliters of, or, you know, grams of chocolate too, i.e. they grow suppose. I know there's different densities and all that, and scientists who are watching this are going to be horrified, but that's why I fix cars and work on cars, and I don't work as a scientist for a living, in case you didn't know. Where was I? 400 grams of chocolate, so we're going to use 400 mils of chocolate. 150 grams of butter. So again, same old deal. We're going to use 150 mils of butter. 5 eggs. 25 grams of sugar, so like 25 mils. Ooh, and 400 grams of de crème liquide. That translates to whipping cream. So, I mean, not really, but that's what they're asking for. So, trust me, I'm a professional. 400 grams of that. So that's going to be 400 mils, because how the heck do you measure liquid whipping cream there with a scale? That's insane. Yeah, I'll throw that all in the description below so you guys can all follow along. If you guys are Americans watching this and you don't understand grams and milliliters and all that, I don't know. Someone down below in the comments, be a hero and translate that into cheeseburgers per square meter or something, and the Americans can follow along too. Thank you. Okay, let's go over the tools we're going to use for this exciting job. We're going to use this power mixer made by Cuisinart. So it has cuisine in the title, so you know it's going to add like +3 to the flavor. This thing here, which is conveniently in milliliters, so that tells me we can use it. Sometimes you got to use a hand spoon because nothing beats shoveling things over by hand. You need a couple bowls for what we're doing all the mixing in. And this here is a trade secret, passed down from generation to generation, and you know, watching YouTube and such. You take one pot, we're going to put some water in that. Then you take your other pot and you put it in there, and it's going to transfer the heat, because water is really good at transferring heat. I actually paid attention in chemistry class because, you know, I like that class better than French class. So you put that in there and it transfers the heat over to this pan where you're going to melt the chocolate and all the other stuff in there, what you need to melt. And the reason for doing that is you're not putting direct heat onto this, which could burn it up. It's water transfer, so it's a more controllable slow heat, which is what you want and what's the secret to making this properly. We'll also probably use a couple of little things like forks and spoons and a small bowl and whatnot, because it's not a kitchen job unless you use half the kitchen. And leave a mess for your camera person to clean up. Thank you. Well, without further ado, let's get to her. Okay, so one step we got to do here is faire monter la crème, mettre la crème au frigo. So, what that means in freedom is get the whipping cream, beat it up. Once it's all whipped, chunk her in the fridge, let it cool. We're going to need that later. Okay, so here's a whipping cream. I went with 33% because that was the highest percentage one I could see. And here's our cup. So you see it's got the 400 mark right there for the mils. So you're going to pour this in. And, you know, very scientifically, what you're going to do is kind of eyeball it, because our eyes are the most precise measuring instrument on the planet. Once she hits about 400, then you know you're good to go. We'll make sure, because of that fancy Dan effect where it's got the scoop in there. We'll put this in the bowl here, and then we're going to start beating it up with our beater there. Alright, that should do her. Now, grab our power tools. Dang it. There we go. Don't want that getting in there. Pro tip, make sure it's turned off before you plug it in, like you do with any power tool in the garage. It can be just as dangerous. You get your finger in there, that's a bad day. Once you got her plugged in, put it in, turn her on, and keep going until it's whipping cream status. I'll let you guys come back once I got this finished up, and then we'll carry on to the next step. Okay, so come in here and have a look. See, what was previously liquid is now this beautiful kind of like not liquid substance. So this is whipping cream, which I'm sure everyone knows all about. What we're going to do is we're going to chunk this in the fridge because it needs to cool down a little bit because it helps with the process later on. And we're going to get on to doing the fancy stuff with the eggs next. Pro tip. Easiest way to clean these off, and you're still going to use them later on here, which we definitely will be. Turn your sink on here, and just kind of turn them on and keeps all the sink and all the mess inside the sink there, which is very easily washable away. And just be sure you don't get it up into the electronic bits, otherwise you'll have a bad day. Okay, next we're going to take our eggs here, and what we got to do is separate the yolks from the whites. So what we're going to do is crack them on one bowl and use the cracked shell as kind of a sifter here to separate the yolks in one bowl and the whites in the other bowl here. Come in here and have a look. I'll show you how it's done. You got to do it very careful because you can make a whole heck of a mess real easy. Kind of just break it there and it comes apart, and you gently let gravity work it through. Then you slide it over to the other cup, because what you're trying to do is separate as much of that white from it as possible. It's a little tedious, and you want to make sure you don't break the yellow like I just did. We'll get rid of that. Chunk this in the garbage. Also, don't lick raw eggs. It's terrible for you and you could die. I'm going to grab another egg here, and I'll do it again. See that nice crack? Let all the white fall into the one bowl. Kind of let her come back and forth a few times. Separated it out. Beautiful, beautiful. And then into that bowl for the separation. I'll do this a few more times. 5 times in total, because we're using 5 eggs. And then I'll bring you guys back for the next part. Okay, because we're feeling extra bougie here, we're going to use 50% dark chocolate and 50% not dark chocolate there. So we'll add a little of these, add a little of this, and this is all to your flavor. I mean, you can use whatever kind of chocolate you want, just as long as it's in and around the 400 milliliter grams, 15 cubits per cheeseburger mark. So yeah, we'll get about 400 milliliters of that in there. And we're going to fire that in the pot and start melting. We're going to do our butter next, because we need butter for the melting process too. Makes it creamy smooth. Ooh-ah. Okay, so our recipe says we need 150 grams of butter. So we're going to make it 150 mils of butter. Now, we got 2 dividers on our butter thing, which give you 62. So 62 plus 62 is 124, or close enough to 125 because it's easier math. The next one over is a full 125. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 125 and we're going to add a little bit, like maybe a 1/4 inch or so, because that looks to be about 150. We'll cut this whole thing off nice and evenish. Kind of like that. And we're going to add this into the chocolate there. All of it into the chocolate. Dang it, get in your home. And yeah, that's probably about enough there. Then we'll heat that all up, and I'll show you guys that in the next step. Okay, remember at the beginning I was talking about that super secret method using 2 pots? Here's what it is. We got our one pot with all our junk in here, what we have to melt. This pot, we're going to put some water into it. Just regular old tap water is fine. Theoretically, it can be any kind of water you want to put in there, just, you know, as long as it boils. We're going to put that on the heater. And then, pro tip, before it gets boiling, check to make sure that the displacement isn't so great that it's going to boil all over the place and cause a huge mess. You can kind of see in there how it's, you know, keeps this pan a little bit afloat, but it's not like pouring over the edge either. Kind of see what I'm talking on right there. See the water level. Alright, what we're going to do now, find out the hieroglyphics on this thing, max. We'll start it at max because I want to get it going quickly. We're going to use our stirring device and keep stirring this once the heat starts to transfer, and happy days. Probably going to speed this part up because this is boring as all heck, and you know, stay tuned or skip over, your choice. Okay, so our next step, ajouter le jaune au chocolat. So mix in or add in the yellows into the chocolate. Just like that. Now you're going to look at it and it's going to look all manner of disgusting. But here, have a look. What you're going to do is take this and thoroughly mix this in. Because you want to get this real creamy consistency where everything is thoroughly mixed in together. Once you're happy with the level of mixing, as you can see, there is no trace that there is any eggs in here, but it's this beautiful kind of creamy consistency. What we're going to do is put this aside here, and we're going to beat up the egg whites that we put aside earlier. Those egg whites are kind of the next important step we got to mess with. Make sure your stove is turned off, because you don't want to burn yourself later. Sucks. I've done that before, and that's not a good day, let me tell you. Okay, so we have here our measuring cup, which starts at 100 mils, which ain't the most precise. So what we're going to do is take our sugar, because we got to use 25 milliliters of sugar, and we're going to eyeball a quarter of 100 mils, and that'll be good enough. I mean, it's chocolate mousse. It's supposed to be sweet. Keep in mind this isn't healthy food and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Look at that. That's about a quarter. Happy days. Okay, so we got our sugar, and we got our egg whites, which we saved earlier. I'll get you to come over here. We're going to put these aside, and we're going to pour the egg whites into this bowl here. And believe me, this looks pretty gross. But it's going to be delicious in a minute. Because what we're going to do is beat these with this egg beater. Once these get pretty firm, and you'll see what I mean in a minute, then we add in the sugar, and we keep on beating them, and you'll see why. Come here and have a look. So, as you can see, with a little bit of beating, their attitude improved, and they don't look nearly half as gross. And I'd say that's pretty presque ferme, if you know what I'm saying, according to the recipe. Now we take our sugar, and we're going to very fancily add it in, because, you know, that's the best way. This is a French recipe. And we're going to take our beater, and we're going to beat it some more, and eventually it will surrender its delicious flavor to us. Okay, now we're going to take our chocolate mix here, or mélange au chocolat, and mix it in here. So just kind of add it in there gently, and theoretically you can use the spoon and stir it in all nice, but we're not going to do that. We are going to use our egg mixer here, because it's a lot faster. It's got a lot more agadugs than a spoon does, so we'll get done in perfect time. Also, I don't know, something beating it will, you know, like you can do this. Beating it will add air into it and make it all cool and happy days. Alright, see you guys in a couple minutes. Okay, now that that's all done up, what we're going to do is grab our whipping cream out of the fridge, which should be all happily chilled, because, you know, everything that's chill is cooler, and mix it in. Happy days. We'll just take our food digging device and dig some of this food here into this other food, and then we'll stir it all up with the food stirring device. Happy days. Okay, I know this is super tedious, but this part you actually want to do by hand, because you want to get a really even distribution, and you're looking for consistency and smoothness. And you don't want to get tons and tons of air into it at this state, because very soon we're going to be pouring it into the receptacle there, or some kind of tray, so we can put it into the freezer. Traditionally, you'd put this in the fridge like the day before and let it all set up. I like it in the freezer because then it's kind of like a hybrid mousse ice cream kind of deal, and that's kind of what I'm going for. But as you can see, you're going to have to scrape the edges, make sure you're getting total mixing, because you don't want any like chunks of bad flavor showing up in the middle of your mousse. And you really want to get it all a very consistent texture and color. The best way to do that is doing it by hand, so you can feel it out as you're working. I'll see you guys back here once I'm done this, and we're ready to pour it into a container. At this point, before you add it to the container, if you wanted to get real fancy and bougie, you could take some of that cream liqueur boozahol and mix it in here and make a more adult flavored one. But we're just going to stick with the basics and yeah, you know, keep it all PG. Okay, because I'm not a person of, you know, the highest of class and authority on such things, we're going to use a Pyrex container, and we're going to pour it in here really gently. You can see it's kind of just like pouring resin, or, you know, if you got a blown head gasket and you're changing the oil in your car. Actually, pro tip, if your oil looks like this, time to get a new engine. Alright, I'm going to scrape it out a little. And we are pretty much ready to put this baby inside of the freezer. Happy days. Okay, so you want to very carefully take this over to your freezer. By the way, upright freezers for the win, nothing better. Stick it inside and let her chill. And that's about it. We'll get started on the cleanup, and by we, I mean my camera person. And happy days. Hey, you're still here. Well, thanks for tuning into this week's Mother's Day themed episode where we made some chocolate mousse and insulted every high school French teacher there was. And, you know, probably can't travel to France or Montreal right now, so sad days. I mean, not that we really want to anyhow. But, you know, future being what the future is, that may be something down the line we might want to look forward to. But, sad days. Anyways, I'd love to see if you guys make this recipe. Leave some comments down below about it, and, you know, send me some video clips if you guys do make some, or pictures. I'd love to see them. And say, you know, like, share, comment, subscribe, and all that. And we'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Happy Mother's Day. Yeah, so, you know, aujourd'hui, s'il vous plaît.
Why aujourd'hui and s'il vous plaît?
I don't know, that's all I really remember. That's what the French teacher always was saying, and something like that. And quel temps fait-il, and je m'appelle, and all that, so.
Super ace.
Right back at you. Me again what you just discovered?
Okay. It says cup, and it says milliliters right there. You don't need a tape measure to do it.
Look at
It
that.
tells you right on the package.
The heck? 62 mil, 125 mil, 250 mil. I was going to use a tape measure and some fancy math because I paid attention to that course. But if you got cheaty butter like this, that's what you do. That gives me a thumb up. Okay, this is going to be in the outtakes portion because, like, the discovery you just made there. Or that you knew about, that I just found out about. This is how you use math. So, you got the amount of grammage of butter in a block, and you measure it. So you know that, oh, it's inches, by the way. Sorry about my comments about cheeseburgers per square mile, because I mean, I still use inches for like just about everything. It's like 4 3/4 inch long. So if you take 4 3/4 inch, and you know it's 454 grams is 4 3/4 inches, then what you can do is you can divide the grammage by the length, which gives you what an actual single unit will be, like, you know, inch-wise, per weight of butter, and then you just figure it out fractionally using the imperial system. Get that amount of measurement of butter, so like, you know, 1 3/8 or something, and there you go. Math.
It's like beautiful mind is baking. Sad.
Yeah, it's horrible. But I mean, that was the best idea I had until I found out I could just cheat.
It's not cheating. It's not.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Well,